Hello, this is Brian and Sierra Barth testing a podcast experience about steak sandwiches and what they can do for your relationship, or what they can do to hinder your relationship. So, to give you a quick background of the story, Sierra and I were early on in our dating experience, and we were at a festival, and we decided to get a sandwich. I was hungry, so I bought myself a steak sandwich, and my intention with that sandwich was to eat the entire thing. Not unlike many people out there who are hungry and want to eat a full sandwich. Sierra, on the other hand, was intent on getting a bite of mine, even though I offered her her own. I offered to buy her own. And I told her she could do whatever she wanted to do with her own. So my perspective, I'll give briefly before I let Sierra give hers, is that because I wanted my own sandwich, a full sandwich, not a sandwich minus a bite, I thought I was justified in telling her, no, you cannot have a bite of my sandwich. Now, if I just left it at that and didn't give her any options...
Are you talking to me, or are you talking to the computer?
I'm talking to everyone.
Because I'm not paying attention to anything you're saying.
Well,
because you're talking to the computer.
Well, there's a problem.
I'm
right
sitting
there.
in front of you. We should be having a discussion together.
Okay, well, this is one of my first podcast experiences, so I don't really know exactly how this works.
Because I feel like I'm just like I'm just a listener.
All right, so I thought, okay, Sierra, I didn't want to give you a bite of my sandwich because I was...
Wait, I honestly wasn't listening to anything you were saying at the beginning. Did you do a setup? Did you talk about... I really wasn't listening to anything. I just was looking at the bouncing lines.
I mean, maybe we should talk about this.
Maybe we can.
And how you don't know how to listen. Man.
I was just sitting here and I'm like, why does this feel so uncomfortable? Maybe I don't want to do this. And then I started thinking, like, can I really do this? Why do I feel shy? And I think it was because I felt really awkward. Like,
because of the way I was doing it.
Yeah, you were looking at the computer, like it's alive and listening to us, and then you were looking at the football game that's on in the background. As your beautiful wife is sitting across from you, and you're not even engaged with me. So
that's what it comes down to.
You're not even engaging with me.
You felt uncomfortable because you wanted all the attention.
I think that's it.
Okay, well now we've hit something. Now we're on to something
I think that's
here.
it.
Okay.
Okay, for all that we can start over.
All right. Well, no, this is good. So, Sierra, my perspective was that
we're
not doing this.
You're just jumping right in.
You want to have...
There's the issue with the steak sandwich, once again, Brian, is not what it is, but it's what it represents. You're giving no context. You're just like...
If you would have been listening when I was setting this up, I was giving my perspective. I even said out loud, I'll give you my perspective, and then I'll let Sierra give her perspective.
I'm talking about context of the situation, the big picture of the situation.
I figured that would come out as we were giving the story, but okay.
It's kind of like whenever you're teaching somebody a new board game and you don't talk about what the goal is. You just jump right in and you're like, here's all the pieces of the game. When you really should start with the goal of the game.
I always start with the object of the game. That's a thing I always start with when I explain. And you've criticized me for that before.
Did you start with the object? Did you start with...
Okay.
Sierra said I was a terrible boyfriend once, and here is why. And I would that's the thesis statement of the steak sandwich situation.
So here's what I would say then. The purpose of this podcast...
Yeah, there you go.
The purpose of this podcast is to determine who was right in a particular...
This podcast or a potential
every
podcast series?
Probably. I mean, if it's going to be a podcast with the two of us... Most likely, the goal is to find out who is right.
While I was trying to figure out how to even record this, I was signing up on all these different free podcast websites while you were out taking the dog out. And it's like, as soon as you sign up, it's like, what's the name of your podcast? And I'm like, crap, I gotta sit here for 2 months to think of like a good podcast name that's catchy, that goes, that describes what this is. And the first thing I wrote was, I'll tell you why you're wrong. That's what I thought.
Yeah,
because
well,
I feel like one of us will say some type of opinion,
you're right.
and then instantly we're like, no, and let me defend myself and tell you why you're wrong.
Well, I think we should.
You're looking at the computer again.
Before we start this series of podcasts, if this goes anywhere, we need to make sure that everyone knows, including ourselves, that we have a very good marriage, a very healthy marriage, and that the disagreements we have are more playful usually, but if they're serious, they tend to give us the other's perspective and help make us more well-rounded people, I believe. So while it sounds like, I don't know, we don't always agree, and maybe even we could say we very rarely agree, I think that helps us to become better individuals. So.
Let me tell you why you're wrong.
Okay, so you think I'm wrong even with that. Okay, yeah, you go ahead and do that.
Marriage is all about being right. Mentally beating down your spouse so that they do everything that you want them to do. I learned about that in marriage counseling.
Did you? Wow.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, so the steak sandwich story. We're been dancing around it, but basically, I think it comes down to a matter of selfishness. You thought I was being selfish. You thought I was being greedy, maybe. You didn't think you were asking for much when you asked for a bite. I, on the other hand, was looking at it from a more... I would call it, and you could say I'm wrong, I would call it a more practical, more, I guess, cerebral way of looking at it, where it's just like logic, okay? I am offering you your own steak sandwich for you to do whatever you want with. I don't want to give you a bite of my steak sandwich. You're looking at it more from a heart
Gluttony,
feeling.
cheap.
Okay, gluttony.
Selfish.
Let's not get carried away here. If I was a glutton, I would have gotten my sandwich and your sandwich and eaten them both.
And you almost did. Okay, now you can explain.
Explain.
I think I should explain my
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Because I think usually when we tell this story to people, I tend to tell the story first because I'm usually fired up. And then I give you a chance to defend yourself.
Right. Okay, that's fine.
Picture a warm June night.
Oh, goodness.
I'm with my new boyfriend of a few months. Actually, what is it? Would it have been close to a year maybe at this point? I don't know. Or maybe it was while we were just dating before we were...
Yeah, no, we were exclusive.
Oh, boy.
I think we were exclusive.
Okay, so anyways, we were at a festival, and one of my favorite festival foods are steak sandwiches. And we were waiting in line, and nobody can hear me over you pouring water in the sink.
Sorry, Sal wanted some more water. I figured I could do that while we were still doing this. Go ahead.
But now I feel like I'm talking to the computer, and I want to talk to you.
I'm still listening.
Get over here.
Oh, my goodness. All right.
This is also another thing that Brian does. He can't just sit and enjoy life.
Okay.
You gotta be doing things. You want to do the dishes while we're doing this?
I'm back.
Okay. So, so we were out on a date, and I wasn't particularly hungry at this moment, and Brian wanted to get a steak sandwich. So he asked if I wanted one, and I said no. They're like $6 a piece. And then he ordered one, and then as he starts eating it, I said, hey, do you mind if I have a bite? And he says no. And inside I'm like, well, at first I'm like, you're kidding. I'm kind of making up this point. I don't really know what exactly happened, but this is how I imagined it would have happened. Is he hungry?
I don't know.
What time is it?
It's 2:17.
Did you feed him breakfast this morning?
Yeah, I fed him. Can you pause it or something?
Well, you can just edit that. You can clip it out.
Fine.
I'm gonna give him this thing.
All right. While she's doing that, let me just clear up something. We were really not on a date. I mean, she makes it sound like this was an organized, formal type thing. We were hanging out at a festival, okay? If it was an organized, formal type thing, then guys know they pretty much have to do.
You were gonna buy me something?
They have
You
to-
were gonna buy me something. Sal,
They have
get
to
down.
pretty much do anything the girl asks if
Please
it's
stop.
if it's an actual date.
Stop. Sit. Oh, that smells terrible. Okay.
We are really dragging our feet on this.
Yeah,
we better
we
pick
should
it. We
time
better pick
this
it up.
to see where this is. Okay. So he asked if I want one, and I'm like, no, that's okay. Or no, I said, hey, can I have a bite of yours? And he said no. And I was like, okay, I just want a bite. And he kept saying no. And I started thinking, like, this dude's really, really selfish. So then he says, I want this one. If you want a sandwich, I'll buy you one. And I'm thinking, because I'm a lovely girlfriend, I'm not going to make him spend $6 for me just to have a bite. So I said, no, I just want a bite of yours. And then you kept saying, I'll buy you one. I said, fine, if you buy it for me, I'm just going to take one bite and throw it away. And you said, okay, do that. And I said, just give me a bite of your sandwich. And he didn't. We went back and forth and we argued. I got angry. I probably got quiet and probably went into my little shell, as I do whenever I get angry at you. And he ate the whole sandwich and did not give me a bite. So that, as we were dating, and I thought, wow, this man, who I thought was a wonderful human being, kind, gentle, soft-spoken man, was also a glutton, selfish, vindictive, and did not want me to be happy.
All right, so now,
Yeah.
now that you got all the hyperbole out of your system, could we please talk about how it really happened? First of all, you say I made you. You said you didn't want to make me buy you a sandwich. When you don't ask me to buy you a sandwich, and I offer you to buy me a sandwich, that is not making me buy you a sandwich. So let's make sure everyone understands that, and we're very clear there. All right. So please don't say that I'm not going to make him buy me a sandwich because it's $6. Okay, that's not what happened. I offered, and I was more willing to buy you your own sandwich and allow you to do whatever you chose with it.
You say this. You would have been so angry
no.
if I like, what's the word? Spitefully took a bite and threw it away. You would have been so angry.
Okay, if I knew you were doing it spitefully, I would have been angry.
So you're so
However,
naive.
I know. No, listen. Excuse me. I know that all you wanted was a bite. And I believed that all you wanted was a bite. And I was willing to buy you your own sandwich and let you take just one bite of it and throw the rest away. No.
Because you would have put your hand back in the trash and ate the rest of the sandwich.
Okay, now come on. I'm not. You know I wouldn't have done that. You know I wouldn't have reached into a festival trash can. Sarah, more hyperbole. More hyperbole. This is outrageous. I don't. From a logical perspective, there is no. And I've come to understand this. Okay, that's why I say my side of the argument is the purely logical side. Now, and I don't mean this to sound tongue in cheek or sarcastic or anything, but when you're dealing with women,
easy.
I'm not going to criticize you.
But you're generalizing.
Oh,
yes. Easy.
It's
a hard word.
Yeah, it is hard.
Did he already eat that?
What I'm saying is that there's another element that men need to take into consideration.
Like be kind and share.
Beyond logic. Can you not interrupt me?
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Beyond logic. And that element is, it sometimes can even seem illogical, right? I mean, there's a whole, there's feelings involved, there's emotions involved. Not everything is cerebral, not everything is logical when it comes to women sometimes, and that's okay.
So feelings can't be logical.
I didn't say feelings can't. See, what is going on here? She's putting words into my mouth. What I'm saying is, I can't just rely on logic alone when
you can't just rely
when you're in relationships with women, when you're dealing with women, because there are emotions sometimes that sometimes can seem illogical or whatever. Okay, so what you're the way you're seeing this, if I understand this correctly, is that you thought I was being selfish because I wouldn't share my sandwich with you. Now, my perspective, and it might be a little flawed, my perspective here is that I look at this situation from a logical perspective and say, you would not have been satisfied unless I was less than satisfied.
How is that?
Wait, because I wanted a full steak sandwich,
And you're saying the only way that you're going to be happy is if I don't have a full steak sandwich. That's the way I was looking at it at the
Okay,
time.
but why does it have to be logical? Because logic is based on what? Fact? Measurable fact? Is that what logic is based on, or is that what science means? I don't know.
That's science.
But either way, you are now stepping into my mind and envisioning what my needs are, even though I told you all I wanted was just a bite.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you turned it into this like victim thing about like she's not going to be happy unless I have one less bite than what I wanted in my own sandwich.
Well, what else am I
like that sounds irrational, like not irrational, but that sounds like an emotive feeling that you're describing.
Well,
that's not logic.
I guess my response to that would be, tell me what I'm supposed to think if you're not willing to accept my way of fulfilling your need.
You're supposed to
My way of fulfilling your need was getting you your own sandwich and allowing you to do whatever you want with it. That would have fulfilled both of our needs,
But
correct?
no, I told you up front, I'm not hungry enough for a full sandwich.
Okay.
I just want a bite.
Right. And again, my response...
So that is how much more clear could I have been?
Oh, you
That's
were very
the thing.
clear.
I'm saying here is the need.
Right.
I'm not hungry enough for a full sandwich, but I'm
Right.
hungry enough for a bite.
Right.
And then
You were very clear on what you needed and what you wanted. And I was very clear on my willingness to meet that want and meet that need. You were not happy with the way that I chose to meet that want and meet that need. And that's what it comes down to, Sierra.
but why does it have to be the way that you wanted it to be done?
Because it's my money, first of all.
Okay.
I mean, I'm just gonna. I don't want to get super
So you would
materialistic here. But when it came down to it, it was my money, and I felt I had the right to choose how your need and want would be met.
listen. If we got in line
Mm-hmm.
and I said, "Hey, look, Brian, they're selling one bite of a steak sandwich for $6. Will you buy me one?" You would have said yes.
Oh, we've had this conversation many
This
times.
has never been brought up before.
Can I speak to the audience for a second
Yeah,
without you freaking out?
Yeah.
Okay. This is something that we've never brought up before in this. We've had this discussion many times. We've never talked
Because this
about
argument happened 14 years ago.
it actually has, and we've brought it up to every single one of our groups of friends that we've had in the last 14 years because I think it's a good talking topic. Say that again. If
I
they
forget, I was
were
just wrong.
offering a bite of a steak
If we
sandwich,
were waiting in line and I said, "Hey, Brian, they're selling one bite of a steak sandwich for $6.
Yeah.
Will you buy me one?"
well, first of all, let me just preface this by saying, and Sierra knows this very well, I hate speaking hypothetically. So I don't think this would ever happen. I don't think any business would try and sell one bite of a steak sandwich for $6. But all right, I'll try and play along.
Well, if they think
No, I'll try and play along. Okay. I would most likely, if I didn't think it was worth the money, I may encourage you to try something else. Because I would tell you, I don't know that it would be worth all that. But if that's what you really want, I honestly believe I would have done it. The thing that
That's what I
bothered me
really
the most.
want. But if I really wanted a bite of your
Well,
sandwich,
see,
you wouldn't have done it.
Right. See, and
So then I
again,
think-
we're coming back to the same thing. You're telling me that the only thing that would have made you happy was you getting a bite of my sandwich.
But see, at first, no. Once I saw how selfish you were being, I was like, "Holy crap! Who am I?
See,
Who am I dating?"
I guess I
And so
just
then it
don't-
turned into, okay, I've got to see if he's really this selfish being that I think that he's being.
Yeah, I
Will
mean,
you,
I
will you
know.
give me a bite? And he's like, no. And I'm like, really? Will you give me a bite? No. And I'm like,
it is
I don't-
selfish. It is selfish to offer
stubborn.
you. Now that I think it is selfish to
Stop.
offer her own sandwich, isn't it, Sal?
he's talking to the dog.
I'm talking to the dog now because he's just looking at me because we're getting fired up. Yeah, you're right. I never thought about how selfish it is to buy her own sandwich. I mean, what kind of a terrible
Here's the
boyfriend
thing, sit
buys
down.
her own food?
Sit down. Where are you going?
I don't know. All right, I'm back.
Here's really what it comes down to.
That was all
is-
sarcastic, tongue in cheek, by the way. If you guys didn't pick up on that, okay.
Is we are dating at this point. So both of us are kind of on trial. You're gathering information. Do you want to spend the rest of your life with this person? Or you're waiting for the, oh, they're going to be on their best behavior. You're waiting for that to drop. You're waiting for the mask to be taken off because we all wear masks.
Metaphorically speaking.
Metaphorically speaking. And so I'm thinking, this is it. This is the moment where Brian Barth is showing his true self. And I forget where I
Were
was
you
going
really thinking
with
that
this
at the
big.
time?
I was. I really was. Like that was a red flag. That was a red flag. What is he doing? Is he chewing on the
No,
mat?
he's clawing at his food mat. Why would you do this right now?
Anyways, I'm just saying that as a dating couple, that is something that you put a flag in the ground right there, and you go, okay, I gotta test this now. I gotta test to see if he's really this selfish. And,
So-
and then you start going through this. Where else is he gonna not be giving and not be generous and not be, And I've learned that you are. Give me your hand, husband. You are a very generous, loving, kind person, except when it comes to food. He's Sal.
I'm at a point where I don't know what to say because I feel like everyone who is ever going to listen to what we're saying right now cannot possibly be on your side.
You've got to be kidding me.
I can't. I don't understand how you think that me not giving you a bite of my sandwich but being willing to give you your own sandwich is me being selfish. To me,
because that's an empty gesture, because that's hypothetical. Like, you're saying, I got no argument.
An empty gesture.
An empty gesture,
An empty
yes.
gesture. Okay.
Because you knew I wasn't going to take you up on that.
So okay.
And if I could go back in time, Brian, if I think of all of my regrets in my life, I would have said,
more hyperbole.
Yes, Brian, buy me a sandwich, and I would look you right in the eye, and I'd take one tiny, tiny bite, and then slam dunk that in the trash can, and say, take me home, sir.
Take you home. So you would have been disappointed. I just can't. I can't make heads or tails of this. I really can't. I mean, again, I feel like so. Let's call it an empty gesture.
Yeah,
all right.
it's a threat. It was a threat.
Let's call me buying you. So you don't think I would have done it? That's what you're thinking.
Correct. Yeah.
You don't think I would have bought you your own sandwich?
No.
Now see.
Well, okay, you may have bought me my own sandwich, but I was trying to tell you in the moment that I was not going to eat a whole sandwich, and you were telling me that you didn't care.
Sal, knock it off. What is your problem?
I'm just gonna feed him.
Give him a scoop or something.
Give him a little scoop.
Give him a little something.
Ooh, I was really fired up, and now I'm losing some momentum.
Yeah, well, maybe this is Sal's way of saying stop fighting, but we're okay. We're not fighting.
Sal's just like all of our friends whenever we get in this argument. Is at first they're like engaged, and then they go, "Holy crap, we're really mad."
And then they're like, they're really serious about this. We need to let this one go. Yeah, I mean, so what I was going to say is about the empty gesture. I guess if you looked at this as an empty gesture, I would ask you what would have not been an empty gesture, and your answer would be
the only thing you could have done to
I could
redeem
have
yourself was give me a bite of that freaking sandwich.
was to make me less than satisfied. That's so what's and I'm not saying this again. I'm being completely serious here. You wanted some kind of sacrifice from me. That's what you wanted. And that's not necessarily a bad thing because
But not up front. Like when I wasn't putting you through a test up front.
right. Okay, no, I understand.
I will be honest and say that I did say I do not want one.
Okay.
So when I said, hey, do you think I can have a bite? And then you said no, then it turned into, I can't believe he's not willing to give me a bite.
Yeah, let me go back to her version of the story also. It didn't quite go down like that. She said, do you want a bite? I didn't just say no and leave it at that. I offered to get her own right away. Okay?
Did you?
Yes.
How do you remember?
You know why? You know why I know that? Because I would not do that. I would not say no and then just not give you any other options. Because that'd be kind of rude. So I was like, you know what? This is my thinking. I want this whole sandwich, but I definitely don't want to deny her what she wants. So I want to get her what she wants. I came up with another what I thought at the moment was a perfectly logical and reasonable solution was to get her own sandwich.
I hope one day we have a daughter. She goes out on a date. And she asks her boyfriend for a French fry. And he says no. And they fight and they argue. And she sees that he's revealed to be a selfish monster. She comes home and she's crying, Brian. And she's crying. And I say, your dad once did that to me.
More hyperbole.
I feel your pain. and you look in her crying blue eyes, and you tell her
And I'll
he
tell
was
her,
right.
bring this man over here so I can meet him and apologize to him. That's what I would say.
You will see your mistakes when you
Yeah,
have a daughter of your
maybe-
own who's not treated.
Maybe you're right.
Kindly.
I don't know. I'm still having a hard time fully. I mean, I understand your perspective. I don't agree with it, and I don't think I ever will. To be completely honest, because it honestly, I think that it comes down to you wanting, and I understand what you're saying too. That it didn't start out this way. It didn't start out this way that you wanted me to make some kind of sacrifice. But I think as we're looking back on it now, it's your best argument is that you wanted me to sacrifice something. You wanted to see me willing to give something up for you.
This is another conversation for another podcast. But you know I am not someone that asks for sacrifices. So you're now that you're saying, I know I wouldn't have just said no. I know my motivation would not have been like
To see me sacrifice something.
I just wanted to see you not be stubborn and selfish. Does that mean that it has to be to see you sacrifice? Because I gotta sit and think about that.
I can't wrap my head
Maybe
around.
I'm so stubborn. It's not even about sacrifice. It was more about getting my way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can't figure out how. I do not see myself as stubborn or selfish in the least in this situation.
In this situation.
Not at all.
But
no. Of course. I mean, everybody has moments when they're stubborn and selfish. But as I look back on this situation specifically, there was nothing. I just don't understand. I just don't understand how what I was trying to do was selfish. Giving you any other option to do whatever you wanted with that sandwich that I would buy you. So anyway, I think we should probably maybe
I think we should wrap it up.
this up. Yeah.
So I think what we will do, if we continue these podcasts, would be ending them with a type of question, I guess, a type of poll where people could text me directly and attach Brian to it every time to tell me that I was right. But I think we ask.
What?
We ask who would do, who is right, who is wrong. If you were a boyfriend, regardless if you wanted the sandwich or not, would you have just done it? Because it's the kind thing to do. Chivalrous. Is that right? Is that the right word?
Chivalrous?
Is that the word?
Chivalrous?
Yeah. Something like that. Or would you say Brian is right in being a glutton and eating a full sandwich while...
Yeah, right. That's how they would.
Well,
put
I
it,
sit
sure.
there with my hands out. Please, sir, can I have some
Can I
more?
ask how I would be a glutton if I ate a whole sandwich as opposed to not being a glutton for eating a
You left out the argument that you...
This is what happened. She doesn't let me finish my questions when I have questions.
You left out the argument about how I wouldn't be satisfied unless you were left still a little bit hungry.
The only reason that's my argument is because I have no other sane, logical solution to this. I have nothing else. I'm trying to figure out how you could have been happy in this situation, and I just keep coming to.
I could not have been more clear about how I would have been hungry.
Happy?
Happy, sorry.
Right, and you're right, and honestly, it's because. Somebody, please tell me another.
Yeah, that's a good thing too. Is there a third option?
Yeah. I mean, the only way she'd have been satisfied, guys, is if I was less than satisfied. That's the only logical solution to this situation. Is that because it's not? She didn't just want a bite of a steak sandwich. If she only wanted a bite of a steak sandwich, she would have accepted my gesture to buy her own and then take one bite of that and do whatever she wanted with the rest of it. She wanted a bite. The only thing that would have satisfied her is if she got a bite of my steak sandwich. I want you to hear this, people. I want you to hear this, Sierra. The only way you would have been satisfied in this situation was that if you got a bite of my steak sandwich. Because you don't like things that are only for me. You don't think anything in this world should be only for me. because you are the one who is selfish. Yeah, that's right. I said it. She is the one who is selfish.
You're talking.
I am not a glutton. I am not selfish. How could I be a glutton for eating a whole sandwich and then all of a sudden not be a glutton for eating a whole sandwich minus a bite? That does not make sense to me. Does that make sense to you, listener?
Okay.
Thank you.
So, I guess we'll end it with that. Is tell us. I guess it's your turn to tell us why we're wrong.
Thank you.
Bye bye.